Was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome back to another episode of Life According to Rick. How's everybody doing? Man, today's episode is a little different because when I first started thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I thought this was going to be like a health episode, you know? My weight, the gym, my health journey. But then the more I thought about it, the more I realized this isn't really a health episode. It's a self care episode. It's about learning what it means to actually take care of yourself. And I don't mean that in some Instagram light a candle and drink some tea kind of way. I'm talking about real life. The good, the bad, the uncomfortable, the shit we don't always want to admit. And before we get into this, I want to give y'all a little heads up. I'm about to be vulnerable with y'all for a minute because some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in this episode isn't really easy for me to talk about. There's some personal shit. My relationship with my body, food, my health, getting older, things I've carried with me since I was a kid. I'm not telling this story because I have everything figured out. I'm telling it because this is where I'm at right now. So let's take it back a little bit. I've always been like the chubby kid growing up. I had a love hate relationship with food. I love food, but I didn't always love what I saw when I looked at myself. And there's something about being a kid. You don't always understand the things adults say to you. You just remember how they made you feel. Like, I remember being a kid and going shopping for clothes with my mom, and she'd have a certain size in mind. And if I didn't fit into those sizes, she'd get upset. She'd start telling me, like, you need to lose weight. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make my mom the villain, because I'm sure as a mom, she was concerned about me. But when you're a kid, you don't necessarily hear the concern. You hear something is wrong with me. And that shit sticks with you. You carry it. Sometimes you don't even realize you're carrying it until you're much older. Then, as I got into my adolescent years, I started losing weight. Started weight training in high school, and I would play sports. I was heavy on the sports, playing basketball, football, baseball. It's typical stuff teenagers do, right? And social media wasn't active like that back then, so all you had to do was be outside. And this is all during the Jordan era, so I was hooping like I was gonna enter the draft one day. I really thought I was on my way to the NBA. Spoiler alert, I was not. But I started seeing my body change. My muscles started developing, my clothes started fitting differently. And for the first time, I looked at myself and thought, damn, I actually like this version of me. The gym gave me the confidence, it gave me an outlet, and it gave me something that I could control. I could walk into that gym one person and eventually walk out feeling like somebody else. I got older, relationships happened, I got into a toxic relationship, and during those years, I wasn't watching what I ate. I gained a lot of weight, and my relationship with fitness became on and off. The gym and I have probably broken up and gotten back together more times than some people I know. I get motivated, I start working out, I feel good, and then life will happen. I fall off, get unhappy with how I look, then I go back. And that cycle continued for years. Then eventually, I moved to Mass and I was a single dad. And I had a lot of emotions I was dealing with. The gym became an outlet for me. I put on my headphones, lift, sweat, think, sometimes not think at all. It was my escape. But let's keep it a buck. I wasn't exactly living the healthiest lifestyle. I work out and then drink on the weekends. I wasn't even thinking about empty calories or thinking about how those drinks were affecting my health. I was just living. And sometimes that's how it goes. You're doing something good for yourself while simultaneously doing something that works against it. And then we fast forward a little bit. I met my wife. And you know what they say? You put on happy weight. Good cooking, eating together. Life changed. And the gym slowly became less important. We've been together for 10 years now. And over those 10 years, the gym and I have continued our complicated relationship. I go, I'd stop, I'd go again, I'd stop again. And underneath all of it was this feeling that I wasn't happy with how I looked. I wanted to change, but I couldn't seem to stay consistent. And then I hit 40, and something changes when you get older. At least it did for me. You start realizing your body isn't something you can just take for granted anymore. You start thinking about your family history. And on my dad's side, there's heart disease. And who even knows what kind of, you know, family histories on my mom's side. I don't really keep up with my mom's side of the family, you know what I'm saying? But that's neither here or there. And I talked about my grandfather before on this podcast. I talked about him in the matriarch episode. I've talked about my dad growing up without his father. But there's something about getting older that made this hit differently. Because my grandpops died from a heart attack around the age that I am now. And I never got to meet him. Think about that. A man I never met, somehow still teaching me something. His story gives me some type of awareness. Not because I think I'm destined to repeat his story, but because it reminds me I can't take my health for granted. Then I found out I had type 2 diabetes. Yo, that shit messed me up. It hit me hard because now this wasn't just, I don't like the way I look. This was, my health is being affected. And honestly, I was scared. I was angry and I was disappointed in myself. Probably all those things at the same time. And what's super bugged out is that I ended up on like blood pressure medication. I was taking metformin. I tried different things. And even at one point, I tried phentermine, which is to help suppress your hunger. And it didn't work for me. Go figure. Then GLP-1 medications became an option. Initially, my insurance wouldn't cover it. That doesn't surprise me. But eventually, my PCP put me on Mounjaro primarily to help me with like my A1C. And something changed. My hunger became manageable. My A1C improved. My health started improving overall. And I lost almost 80 pounds. Then my clothes started getting loose. And yeah, that felt good. Because, you start reaching unk status. You know what I'm saying? You trying to stay healthy and whatnot. But eventually I realized the clothes weren't the point. The scale wasn't the point. The real reward was what I could actually do. Because now I have Harlem. And he'll look at me and say, Daddy, play with me. And I can. I can get down and play with him without feeling completely winded or lethargic and tired. And that means more to me than any number on the scale. And he's watching me. Like the funny thing is that, when I start getting ready for the gym, he'll acknowledge and he'll be like, "Daddy, you going to the gym?" And like he'll start imitating me doing arm curls. Like it's the funniest thing ever. And I actually wish that I could have recorded him doing that, but it was just like one of those spontaneous things. It's like if you missed it the first time, forget it. He's not gonna do it again. But sometimes I don't always make it to the gym, and I have like resistance bands in the basement, and little things here and there that I use to work out. And he'll come down and he'll look at me and he'll say, "Daddy, I want to try." And I even have a picture of him with the resistance bands. And your little kid cracks me up, yo, I swear. He's like imitating what I'm doing. He even looked at me and said, "Daddy, time me." And I'm in my mind, I'm just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you even know, like, time me? Like, where do you come up with this stuff? It's super funny because kids don't always listen to what you tell them. They watch what you do. He doesn't understand what A1Cs is or understand diabetes or, he doesn't understand calories. He just knows, my dad works out and now he wants to work out too. But here's something that I've had to learn. I don't always make it to the gym. Life happens. Work happens, family happens. Sometimes there's simply not enough time. And Ulrich would have said, well, that's not the same as going to the gym. So if I couldn't make it to the gym, I wouldn't work out. Because if I couldn't do the real workout, why bother? But I'm learning that's BS. If I have 20 minutes in the basement, that's 20 minutes I move. If I have resistance bands, I'm going to use them. If I can go for a walk, I'm gone. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something. We got to keep moving. So let me tell y'all a quick story real quick because the other day, me and Harlem got home and my wife gets home later than we do, so I hit her up. I was like, "Yo, we got home. Me and Harlem gonna go for a walk." So bad. This kid is a runner. You know what I'm saying? If I was to let him walk free, forget about it. He'll skedaddle on me, and I'm not trying to run after a toddler in the middle of the street and have like a spectacle. So I said, Harlem, let's go. We out. We have bought him this little vest. I don't like to use it because me personally, I feel like it looks crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like a vest and then it has the leash. And again, like I said, it looks crazy and I don't like to use it, but I have to because like I said, he thinks he's grown. Little boy think he grown and I'm like, you gotta stay close to me. You gotta hold my hand. He don't wanna hold my hand. I'm like, I bet. So I'm gonna put the vest on because we don't got no other choice. But anyways, we went for a walk. You know what I'm saying? We hit the park and it has like a trail. So we did almost 3 miles in about an hour and a half. And mind you, it took longer because obviously I have to consider the fact that I have him with me. You know what I'm saying? He walks slower, you know what I'm saying? He's 3 years old. But in my mind, I'm totally forgetting the fact that he's still a toddler. Like he can't keep up with me. So like 3 miles is wild. Like so after a little bit, like I start seeing him like slowing down and he's like stopping and he looks at me, right? And he's like, "Daddy, carry me." And I was like, "Hey, yo, little boy, you're like almost 70 something pounds." I'm like, "You don't have to troop it." And then he started getting like fussy and restless. He's like, "I want to sit down. I want to sit down." And I'm like, "Come on, like we're getting close to where there was like some benches, so I was like we could take a break." But nah, he wanted to stop dead middle in the trail and like squat down. And I'm like, "Come on, dude, like we're not far from the house. Like I need you to keep moving. Come on." Yo, forget about it. I called my wife. I was like, "Yo, are you home?" Because my man's just tweaking. He's tired. he doesn't want to keep going. I felt so bad afterwards, yo. Like it was so bad. She ended up like coming and scoop us up, and he like got home and he was just super tired. But you know what? That's okay. We went, we moved, we spent time together, and I'm starting to realize something, that the workout isn't always the workout. Sometimes the workout is the memory you're creating while you're doing it. And as tired as he was, and he wasn't really feeling it towards the end, the next day he was like, "Daddy, we going for a walk?" I said, "Oh, after yesterday, you want to go for a walk?" And he's like, "Yeah, bad enthusiastic." I'm like, "Yeah, right." But now I know I'm gonna have to like pace myself, and walk shorter distances with him. And that brings me to self-care, because what the hell does self-care actually mean? We hear the word all the time, self-care. Sometimes we think it's spa days, massages, vacations, and those things can absolutely be self-care. But self-care looks different for everybody. For me, sometimes it's the gym. Sometimes it's walking with Harlem, even though he gets tired. Sometimes it's, working out in the basement. Sometimes it's eating better. Sometimes it's getting proper sleep. And trust me, sleep department is not my strongest suit. Sometimes everyone in the house finally goes to bed and I just sit there, quiet, no noise, no responsibilities for a few minutes, just collecting myself. That's self care too. Sometimes self care is shaving, and I know that sounds super wild, but there's something about cleaning yourself up, putting on a fresh outfit, looking in the mirror and thinking like, "Damn, I feel good today." Sometimes it's watching an episode of your favorite show because you never have time to watch TV, and that's okay, because self care doesn't always mean improving yourself. Sometimes self care means enjoying yourself. And sometimes self care means taking a mental health day. And listen, my wife gets on me about this all the time. And it's not even because I don't have the PTO to take the time off. It's because over the years, I've gotten so accustomed to being in survival mode. I'm just so used to just keep going. There's always something that needs to get done. There's always a bill, there's always work, there's always something with the kids. Always something, right? I'm sure y'all can relate. So she'll see me exhausted and say, "Take a mental health day, stay home, rest." And I'll come up with a million excuses. I can't, I have work, I have to do things, I'll be fine. And last Friday, I finally listened. The night before, Harlem woke up a few times. Now listen to what I'm going to say, because we're still transitioning him into sleeping in his bed, right? And he's been doing good, but I don't know what it is. He just wakes up in the middle of the night like multiple times. So it's like I'm constantly getting up and then redirecting him to his room. And I'll lay down with him and wait till he falls asleep. And then I'll sneak out, because if I wait, if I don't wait to make sure that he's in that deep REM sleep, forget about it. He'll like wake up looking like Michael Myers. Like he'll just like stand up in his bed, like, "Daddy, where you going?" So this one last time, right? He got up and then I said, "Come on, Papi, let's go to your room." So I get him in bed, I settle him in, and I lay down with him. But this time I like knocked out in his bed. Mind you, he has a twin bed. Okay. My big old self is like in a fetal position, like because I'm not trying to like interrupt his sleep, right? This his bed, and I was mad uncomfortable. And mind you, I didn't have my CPAP machine, so when the morning came, I was dumb tired. So I literally took the day off. I listened to my wife and I said, "All right, I'm gonna just call out. I'm gonna take the day." Yo, I literally slept till like 1:30 in the afternoon. And the crazy part is, like, I literally woke out of my sleep like something spooked me. Like, but in all actuality, was my internal clock was like, "Yo, fool, get your ass up! Like, we not sleeping all day." And I woke up and I looked at my phone. I was like, "Oh snap!" I literally felt like I wasted the day. And then I thought about it. Like, did I? Or was sleeping exactly what my body needed that day? Because honestly, I could have slept longer, but I got up because that voice in my head was telling me I had already wasted enough for the day. And that's something that I'm still learning. Sometimes we feel guilty for resting. We think that being productive makes us valuable. But sometimes your body is asking you to stop, and self care is listening. So, sleep has become another part of my health journey. And like I said, it's not my strongest suit. So, I have sleep apnea, which means I have to sleep with a CPAP. And if I travel, guess what I'm bringing with me? Clothes, toothbrush, my phone charger, and this damn machine. I feel like Darth Vader, part man, part machine. But as annoying as it can be, I need it. And that's another thing I've learned. Taking care of yourself doesn't just happen while you're awake. Sometimes taking care of yourself means making sure you're actually getting the sleep your body needs. And I think that's probably the biggest change in me. Old Rick was very all or nothing. If I couldn't get to the gym, don't bother. If I couldn't get this perfect workout, what's the point? And if I was tired, push through. If everybody needed something, Rick comes last. But I'm learning something different now. Maybe 20 minutes count. Maybe a walk counts. Maybe sitting quietly counts. Maybe shaving counts. Maybe putting on that fresh outfit that makes you feel good counts. Maybe watching your favorite show counts. Maybe taking that mental health day counts. Maybe sleeping till 1:30 counts. Maybe taking care of yourself doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means giving yourself permission to do less. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to become the teenager I was again, nor am I trying to become some old version of myself. I'm trying to become a healthier version of who I am today because my body's different now. I'm older, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. My priorities are different. My health is different. My responsibilities are different. And that's okay. I don't need to be the old Rick. I need to take care of the Rick that's here today. And maybe that's why my grandfather has been on my mind. A man I never got to meet, a man who died around the age that I am now. And somehow, he's given me awareness. He's reminding me that life isn't guaranteed, that family history matters, that I need to take care of myself. Not because I'm afraid of repeating his story, but because I have a story of my own that I'm still writing. And I have a little boy who's watching me write it. And that's what this whole episode comes down to. I spent a lot of my life trying to change the way that I looked. Now I'm trying to change what I'm able to do. I want to play with Harlem. I want to have more energy. I want to be present. I want to take care of my family. And I want to take care of myself too. Because I've learned something. Health isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to those years. And it's being able to walk with your son, being able to play, being able to laugh, being able to travel, It's being able to wake up and actually feel like yourself. And maybe that's what self care really is. It's not selfish, it's not vanity, it's not always pretty. Sometimes it's a gym, sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's a resistance bands in your basement. Sometimes it's sitting in silence. Sometimes it's a mental health day. But whatever it looks like for you, take care of yourself because you deserve to experience the life you're working so hard to build. And for me, I'm finally learning how to do that. I'm finally learning how to take care of Rick. And that's where I'm at right now. Still figuring it out, still working on myself, still trying to find balance. But I'm here. I'm moving, I'm learning, and I'm taking care of Rick. And maybe that's what this chapter of my life is really about. Learning that taking care of myself isn't selfish, it's necessary. I'll catch you guys next time.